Good morning, everyone. Many thanks for joining in. There's a live Q&A during this session, so please, if you've got any questions about the airport, do feel free to ask, and I'm sure Abby will put them to me at the end. Abby, if I can ask you to please put the slides on for me. Thank you. So yeah, my name's Phil Forster. I'm the commercial director at Teesside Airport. Basically, I'm going to just talk you through a few of the developments that have happened during the airport over the last year since I was at Teesside University, talking about our plans for the airport and ultimately what our future plans is, what we've been doing, and of course addressing the wonderful world of COVID at the minute and the impact that's had right across the aviation industry and of course, I guess across all different sectors. So essentially, there's always three things I always say about any airport that you need. The first thing is the infrastructure. The second thing is the surface access, and the third thing is the route development. So hopefully I'll talk about some of that as we go along. But essentially, for those of you who aren't familiar with the airport, what have we got right now? Well, we now serve two major international hubs, of course, because I'll come into it later. But we've now, in the first time in 10 years, have brought a Heathrow service into the airport. Through that, we serve over 200 onward destinations. That's through Heathrow Airport and Amsterdam Schiphol Airport. Of course, previously the airport was doing 140,000 passengers per year. Of course, COVID has significantly will reduce that number, of course. We've got a target, which again I'll come on to further, which is to eventually get the airport up to 1.4 million passengers, which I'll again come on to as we go along. We've got a runway that's 2,291 metres in length. What that means is we can get any aircraft in to this airport. We've also got a site with over 800 acres of land. The big thing here as well is we serve a 5.2 million population within a 90-minute drive, and that's key and the most important thing when I talk about this in the presentation. So a bit of an agenda that I'm going to go through here to talk to you is, first of all, the market where we currently are, what the opportunities are, the competitive dynamics, the current situation, the development plans, and essentially the opportunity for business and ultimately for the airport in this region. So the market, the main thing about anything, as I always say, is that, and apologies for people who've heard me say this before, but essentially the airport isn't here to sell the region sells the region. It's everything that's going on here in this region that you as business leaders and organisations are doing to want to bring people to and from this region. But a big thing is to show why there's a huge opportunity here for this airport. If you look, we've got a 700,000 population alone in the Tees Valley. You've got the likes of Newcastle, York, Leeds, the Lake District, all within easy access within an hour or two's drive. Teesside Airport, we sit at the heart of England's fourth biggest city region, and we've got 2.5 million people within 60-minute drive. Of course, you'll all know about the partnership with the five authorities: Darlington, Hartlepool, Middlesbrough, Redcar and Cleveland, and Stockton-on-Tees. A couple of things whenever you're selling, so you need to sell the airport to the airline. So when you're going there, essentially the reason why this airport has struggled, shall we say, in recent years is because if you're not marketing your product, no one's going to know what you've got. So essentially now when I'm speaking to airlines, it's telling them the opportunities to come into this airport. So it is saying things like, did you know you've got 71,000 businesses within a 60-minute drive? Did you know there's 168 students studying within a 60-minute drive? We've got 4,350 manufacturing businesses, 750 large companies. 45% of the residents within 30 minutes will be classed as higher or in intermediate occupations. These are things that in the past, because previous regime here and the owners didn't want to grow the airport, they ultimately wanted to sell the airport. So it comes back to what I say: if you don't market your product, no one is going to know what you've got, what's on offer. Just some more stats, which I always keep in here, but which really is to kind of emphasize again to airline planners to say, look, this is why you should come into this airport, the opportunities. But I also leave it in when I'm speaking to people in this region for why everyone in Teesside should be really proud and realise the opportunity for this region, because we've got, you look at 70% of our businesses are internationally owned. So for me, that knows there's a lot of travel there coming to and from the region. We've got a fast-growing economy worth 16.2 billion. And as I've already stated, you've got a 700,000 population. Fast becoming one of the UK's visitor attractions. I'm sure the Tees Valley Combined Authority team will go into more on that, but we've got the Enjoy Tees Valley brand, which is really trying to sell the region. You've got Teesside University, and obviously 6 outstanding foundation educations. And you've also got the business growth with 130 new businesses established in the past 2 years, and we've now got over 17,000 enterprises. Now, essentially, these slides are the most important when I'll come on to it. This is me telling an airline, this is the catchment, this is what I've got available on the doorstep, and this is how I can guarantee you're going to get bums on seats, essentially putting passengers on aircraft. So if we look at the first one here, you've got 2.5 million people who are within a 60-minute drive of Teesside International. I've been previously in roles, I've been at Newcastle and Leeds Bradford Airport. Again, two very good airports, but the fact is the people of Teesside haven't had an airport that they can utilise fully previously, so they've either had to go north or south, ultimately to either Newcastle or Leeds Bradford. But when you do look at this really, and I'm going to quickly just go on to the next one so you can see, 2.5 million people within 60-minute drive, but if I open that up to 90-minute drive, you've got 5.2 million people within the 90-minute catchment of Teesside. You can see how far that goes up above Newcastle and right down into Yorkshire. So the key thing is here is we've got the surface access, which is the first thing I mentioned when the three things, the surface access, the infrastructure and the route development. On that, when you go to an airline now, you can see, look at the catchment that I've got here. The Tees Valley region as well, if you put it in rank, we sit in the fourth largest. If you look at the stats, I'll quickly go back just by one, just to break that down even further. If you look at the 2.5 million people within the 60-minute drive, you can see all the main towns in there. So you've got the likes of Newcastle upon Tyne with the 310,000. But then look at the others that you've got in there. You've got Stockton in there. You've got Middlesbrough, Redcar, Cleveland, Darlington, Hartlepool. You've got all the main ones that are actually in the Tees Valley. So essentially that goes to an airline to say everything is actually on your doorstep. The fact is, the first thing is the surface access is already in place. The next thing is, of course, is the route development. And what I've also come on to already is trying to sell the region. So if I then just go into it essentially to give a breakdown then on competitive dynamics. This is telling an airline, but essentially I guess anyone, how there is an opportunity here. So if you look on the right-hand side there, there's 1 million passengers are lost from the northeast to peer airports. That's going to the likes of Manchester, Leeds, Bradford and London. But if you look in the middle graph, north of England passengers, you've got 44 million passengers. Now this is CAA data from 2017. Obviously it'll be about the same for 2019. Of course, 2020, given COVID, that will significantly change, of course. But it gives you an idea of, you're looking at roughly, you've got 44 million passengers to play with. Now, if you look there, Teesside, we've got 0.13 there. Nothing at all what we should be doing. There's no reason why, especially our pent-up demand that we can pull. Now, I'm saying at the minute there's only 130, 140,000 passengers utilising this airport, but I've got the Tees Valley population alone is 700,000, which I'm sure people in the Tees Valley would rather support their own airport. The fact is, as much as they would like to support it, at the minute they haven't had the routes to utilise why they can support the airport. Hence, they've had to go to other places. But if you look at that there as well, you've got 400,000 passengers who essentially drive past my airport to get to Newcastle. That's people coming from the Yorkshire and the Humber region. And you've got 240,000 passengers who come down to the northeast from Scotland. It just shows the numbers are quite significant. The fact what we need to do is sell the airport and the region to the airline so they put the routes on, and then people will start to utilise this airport. So essentially, the final one on the competitive dynamics is if you look at the market regional overview, you can see for the total available market size in the northeast is 11 million passengers. Of that, you can see Newcastle capturing 40%, Leeds, Bradford 34%, and then Doncaster Sheffield Airport takes 5%. The remaining 21% captured predominantly by London. Some of that as well, of course, will go down to Manchester. But what this is doing, it's leaving less than 300,000 split between Humberside and ourselves. So you can see from what that data will tell us that there's an opportunity alone to capture 1.7 million passengers from London. And that's given as well, this is to do with the route and the capacity constraint issues that's in London. Now, of course, on that, what's a good thing is, of course, which I will come on to, we've now got Heathrow service, which really will act as a game changer, not just for the airport, but for the region, which I'll come on to shortly. This is something I also always put in when I'm speaking to airlines to say, look, there used to be a previous strong demand. This airport, there's a reason why the Tees Valley Mayor and the Combined Authority wanted to bring this back into ownership and essentially bring this airport back for the people, because that's where I always see the airport. It doesn't belong to anyone. It belongs to you, the people. It's the people of Teesside. It's to generate for people to be functioning in this region. But essentially, when I'm speaking to different airlines, is to say, look, we used to have a Heathrow service. We've obviously got it back now. But you look, we used to have Malaga, Alicante, Paris, Gatwick, Nice, Newquay, which we've got back again, Bristol. The list's endless, but you can still see there TUI used to be in here, Thompson, doing Alicante, Palma, Sharm el Sheikh, Tenerife. We've had it all in the past. So this is again showing to airports that the previous demand, put the routes on and they do work. The demand to fly out of this airport is here. What we need to do now is get the routes back. So essentially the current situation, where are we right now? So we look at 2019, the airport doing 140,000 passengers. But to me, the comment above that is more important. In 2017, this airport was doing just under 1 million passengers. Again, showcasing to airlines that there is previous demand here. People do want to fly out of this airport. In February 2019, the Combined Authority took ownership of the airport, putting it back into public hands, signed a deal with Stobo Group to work in partnership on our operational and strategic future. There's a new senior management team came in place who've been in now just for over a year. And as part of that, we've adopted a 10-year master plan, which is with an aim to get to 1 million passengers by 2022, increase the freight by 500 tonnes, bring in 10 additional routes and attract a low-cost carrier. 4 key parts that you'll see there: car park directly outside the main terminal, the fast and friendly, easy to navigate passengers. I will come on to this later on again, the speed and efficient security processing and doing up the departure lounge. What we've done is COVID's given this airport an opportunity because it's put the airport back on a level playing field. But what it's also done is we're not wanting to rest on our laurels here. We have got to continually keep pushing the region and the airport so that people know that there is an opportunity here. So even within COVID, which has been a very difficult time for the industry, we've still managed to use this as a bit of battening down the hatches, but also forward planning. So hopefully you've seen some of these announcements. I'm delighted to say we recently secured a new 5-year deal with KLM. They've been a partner at the airport for over 30 years. The key for that is, again, it gives Teesside worldwide connectivity. That's to over 100 destinations out of Amsterdam Schiphol. We've brought Heathrow back, working closely with Eastern Airways. It's the first flights to the capital in more than a decade. Again, Heathrow, you all know, is the UK's hub airport. But with that, you get 180 destinations. We're working closely with Eastern on a number of code share and ticketing agreements, which will allow for straight-through travel. With our partner Eastern Airways, you'd have seen we've announced a number of new routes. We've got Belfast, Southampton, Newquay, and obviously Aberdeen, which has been in for a while. We've also would have Dublin, but given the current quarantine restrictions, we haven't brought that route back just yet. And I guess the main thing is, what are we looking at for leisure in terms of 2021? And the reason probably is a bit of a tease there, putting bigger and better. I'm delighted to say that there is a lot of work going on behind the scenes to ensure that, we do have a very good summer. So we are working very hard to work with a number of different leisure and low-cost airlines to see what traction we can get. Again, I can't go into a lot of details, but we are working hard behind the scenes. You can imagine at the minute what's going on in aviation. It's very hard for airlines and airports indeed to forward plan because we just don't know what the future holds right now, but we do still have to try and forward plan. And we've got Balkan, who'll be coming back in doing a twice a week now, upgrading to Burgas. That's into Bulgaria's sunny beach. So they will now, instead of doing 1 a week, they'll be doing 2 a week in the summer. Jetsco will be coming back again doing Mallorca, and they're also looking at a few extra places that they'd like to fly to across the Iberian Peninsula and further afield in Europe. And we've also announced the Lapland flight. So we're in a very good place at the minute, very much on the business side. We've got the Heathrow and the Amsterdam, so that's our business connectivity sorted. We're very well served on the domestics, doing the likes of Belfast, Southampton, Newquay, Aberdeen. We'll still look at a few other options there. And then the big thing that we then need to look at is really how do we get the likes of the leisure to put in the likes of the Iberian, the peninsulas, bringing back the likes of the Alicantes, the Malagas, Faroes, and these are discussions that we're obviously ongoing with. Now, what we want to do is essentially I always believe we'll only get one chance at this. We'll not get a second chance to make a first impression. So on this, I want you to be proud of this airport as well, people from Teesside and further afield. I want you to come in here and utilise this airport, but also to have the best possible journey. So for me, what I should be able to say to you is the passenger journey. I can give you your own private airport experience. So we're not finished until we've really got this done. But, car park directly outside the main terminal. I don't want you walking for miles or getting a shuttle bus to have to take you. I want you straight into the airport as quick as I can. Fast and friendly. I want all the staff are undergoing brand new customer service training at the moment. I want that to be easy to navigate, check-in, getting passengers on their way quickly. Speed and efficient security processing. I will touch on that a bit after this because we're investing in over £1 million in the latest X-ray equipment, C3 machines, which essentially is what they've currently got in other airports. But I believe we'll be one of the first in the UK to have this equipment. That means you don't have to take any liquids out of your bags. You'll get straight through the X-ray machine. So again, speeding up the process. And ultimately, the main part for me, of course, being a commercial director, is that refurbishing the airport terminal, getting you through security quicker to hopefully spend more money and to have a better experience. What I can do, of course, when I'm speaking to an airline to bring them in is to say, I've got the infrastructure for a 25-minute turnaround. Airlines don't want their aircraft on the floor. They want them up flying as quick as they can. So they want people on board as fast as possible. So the 25-minute turnaround, we've got the infrastructure. The surface access, which I've already mentioned about, that's key. I've mentioned how we've got fantastic surface access. You look in Teesside, we've got the A19, the A1, the A66. We're 6 miles away from the East Coast Main Line. So you can see the surface access is phenomenal. And there is a slide on this at the end again to talk about what the combined authority are trying to do to even improve that even more. The catchment, which I've mentioned, about 2.5 million within the 60 minute, and then you put that up to 5.2 million within 90 minutes. Then essentially where I can see it is, of course, the marketing support that we do to really ensure that we push an airport and give it the profile right across the region, because we want this to be a long-term partnership. Now, in terms of how we're going to get there, because we can talk a good game, but we've got to deliver as well on this. Essentially, the first bit I always like to say that we've done, we've refreshed the airport terminal. That started, commenced the rebrand development. Well, of course, the airport used to be called Durham Tees Valley, but eventually, delighted to say that last year, earlier in the year, we managed to bring it back to Teesside International Airport, which everyone wanted to see, which was a fantastic thing. Hopefully, the likes of the regional exposure and the engagement of the new ownership and the partnership, hopefully there'll be a number of people, I'm sure, listening to me thinking they've already heard this presentation. So hopefully that means I'm trying to do my job, and we are certainly getting the airport message out there that we are changing. It won't happen overnight, but we are really trying to move plans forward. There's already been some work on the departure lounge refurbishment, albeit a little bit, but there will be more to be done. The new VIP lounge, there's actually going to be some exciting news to announce in the coming weeks on that, because there's actually going to be, we've got completed there because we have put a new VIP lounge in, but we're going to extend that even further. So I would ask people to look out for that in the coming weeks, because we'll have more announcements to make on that. New food and beverage catering facilities have been put in, and again, new terminal facilities. In development, but also getting ready to be complete very soon, is an improved arrivals experience. I've got some images on that which will show, and obviously further improve the commercial offering. For me, the airports, it's important to know that airports don't make commercial revenue out of an arrivals experience. That's just a case of you land off the aircraft and you get off the plane and you go home, you go to your business meeting. But where we've got to play our part, and the combined authority is a series to do, is essentially, yes, you don't make commercial revenue, but we as an airport want to play our game in being the international gateway for this region. So I either want, if you're a proud Teessider coming back here, I want you to be proud of this region and really think positive when you come in, seeing fantastic images of the region and what's on offer. But if you're coming here for the first time for a business trip, you'll judge this airport by what the Tees Valley region will look like. So we're doing a lot of stuff on the place marketing to give it a sense of pride and place. So hopefully when people start to come through the airport in the very near future, you will see a significant upgrade in the arrivals experience. Again, point 3, deliver the 10-year business case to get the 1.4 million passengers, get the low-cost carrier, bring in 10 additional routes, and get that 75-25 passenger mix, get a split between the leisure and the business. We've also, I've mentioned, we've got over 800 acres of land, and we've got a fantastic joint development partner that we're working on the south side to really improve there, so we can bring in a logistics, aeronautical, and an employment park. And we want to bring an aviation hub into the airport. This is all part of a 10-year master plan, and more stuff will come out in due course as we continue finalising another strand of the business case. Again, enhancing the connectivity, I did mention that earlier, but really, there's even more. The surface access is so good. But again, the great thing here that we should all be proud of about this region is we're never resting on our laurels, not just the airport, but in terms of the combined authority and the team there, because essentially there's even more work going in to make it even more easier and accessible to get into this region. There's 45 million investment in the stations, as you can see. There's work going on the rail halt, the new Tees crossing, what we hope to have between 2025 and 2030. We are working on plans to bring in a hotel as well into the airport, which more info in due course. Essentially, as I mentioned, some of the things that we've got to do is really invest in the airport as well. So COVID has, of course, been a horrible period, but we've got to use that to get the terminal in ship shape, if you like, for ready when we do want to bring passengers back in. And yes, we are still operating, but of course it's a lower demand than we would normally see, because for obvious reasons not as many people are traveling. But as I've mentioned, some of the impacts that you'll already see when you start to come in, and there'll be a lot more stuff to come out in the coming weeks as we finalize plans for the departure lounge. But right now, we want to create a warm welcome. So as you can see, that's just one of the new baggage belts. Delighted to we've got a partnership with Rockcliffe Hall, who are rebranding and putting some advertising up in the terminal. More stuff will come up. We've completely put all brand new carpets, painted the facility, the arrivals, really to give so you feel a sense of positivity and pride when you come into Teesside. As I say, if you're coming back into the region, or if you're coming here for the first time. New state-of-the-art 1 million C3 security upgrade equipment. That's just one of them, but we've got 3 brand new machines coming, which again will be installed and in place, ready for April next summer, for the start of the summer season. And that really will make a massive difference to this airport, because it will get you through a lot quicker. Airports can be daunting experiences. We want people to have the best possible customer experience. This will really speed up that process and get you through a lot quicker. Again, keep all your liquids in your bags. You don't have to clot on going getting everything out of your bags. Put them straight through the C3 X-ray machine. We'll pick up any problems and we'll get you on your way as quick as we can. Again, I'll not dwell on this for too long, but again, I have mentioned about the surface access, but to me, this is the big thing that I always talk to people about, because that surface access is what leads to the catchment. Teesside, we've already got one of the fastest moving commuter road networks in the UK, but there's more investment underway and further planned. So again, there's more stuff to come. And I've already mentioned about the upgrades in the stations and the infrastructure. Trying to get people coming into this region, getting them into the airport, getting them into our train stations, and then essentially getting them into the key places that matter, into the different towns and cities, so that business deals can be done, so they can be coming to the fantastic hotels, the culture, the leisure, bringing in more inbound tourism and inward investment. So now I guess the opportunity for a few of the bits that we have done throughout the lockdown period. As I mentioned, we've got Feats and Land and with Chris Musgrave, we've got a fantastic joint venture partner that we're looking to do. We've got 270 acres of the south side. That's 3 million square foot of logistic, manufacturing and commercial space. There's 23.6 million investment by the combined authority, but essentially that will unlock £200 million in private sector investment. There's a lot of work going on behind the scenes there, but again, that has the opportunity to be a complete game changer for this region. Willis Asset, hopefully you'll have seen some images. You can see the bottom right there with that aircraft there is from Fiji, and the one behind it is from SAS. The two 737 aircraft that we've currently got in here, we brought in Willis Asset Management, who are a huge aviation firm based in the United States. They've opened a hub here now. They take Hangar 1 with a huge presence where they want to grow across this airport. They essentially do maintenance, storage and disassembly of a wide variety of commercial aircraft types. At the moment, we've said there that they initially will be looking for 20 highly skilled engineering management jobs, but they really are here for the long haul. That we're in talks to them about extending their contract, and they really want to grow in this airport. Again, we should have more exciting announcements in the near future, but the one thing they want to do is create a European maintenance hub, which would see them take over even more space at the airport, create more hangarage, and ultimately what we all want to see is more highly skilled jobs for our people in the Tees Valley. Another one that you'll see there is Cobham Aviation. Recently, the Mayor announced we've signed a new long-term deal with Cobham. Even when the airport was shut during the start of lockdown, we remained open operationally. We were closed to passengers, but we did remain operational. That's because of the services that Cobham provide in association with the MOD. As you can see there, they operate and maintain a fleet of specially modified Falcon 20 aircraft. And the plan is there they've increased employee numbers by 25% over the last 18 months. But the big thing is we've signed a brand new long 5-year term deal with them. So again, it's opening up to more opportunities. I guess what I'll finish on the final slide before taking any questions, if anyone has them, is I always say this airport belongs to the people of the region. We're just a landing strip here, but we've been given the tools to try and bring in more, improve the GDA, improve the inward investment, the inbound tourism. But the airport belongs to you, the people of this region. So to me, it's all about collaboration. So they're just a number of key people there, but everyone's in this together. The whole Tees Valley region needs to come together, and the wider area, because we can support further up the northeast and indeed into Yorkshire. But to make this airport a success, it's not going to be just led by one or two of us. It's going to be a real team approach. So the way I always finish on this is to say the door's always open, and we always want to work with a number of different Tees Valley businesses far and wide, because this ultimately is your airport. The airport belongs to you. So we want to hear from you. We want to grow with you to essentially give us any thoughts, ideas, opinions, suggestions. If we're getting things wrong, if we need to get things right, the door is always open, and we want to continue to work with you, because, as I always say, we work in partnership, not sponsorship, and ultimately the airport belongs to all the different businesses, all the different leisure people of this region. So I'll finish there. I'm happy to hand back over to Abigail, but if there is any questions, I'm more than happy to take any questions.
Hello. A few questions come through actually, so I'll just start reading through them for you. Okay, the first question we've got is from Emily Bentley. She said, "One of my first ever visits to Teesside Airport as a child was to see Concorde. Any regional airport that can take such a massive bird has huge potential for freight and air bulk breaking. Is this on the cards for Teesside, especially if the Tees Valley get Freeport status? Perhaps the duty breaks can be extended to the airport and business park / hangar zone."
So yeah, excellent question. I think freight is one of the number one things that we've got to be looking at. It's a huge revenue drive as well. For obvious reasons, you can imagine I can't go into too much detail on the Freeport status. there's a team leading on that. But we have a number of plans to increase the freight out of this airport. Ultimately, Emily raises a very good point. We've got a runway of 2291 metres and we've got over 800 acres of land. It will be foolish of us not to be looking at that. We've got an Amazon logistics warehouse just down the road, another one getting built in Durham. So essentially, in a nutshell, in that, yes, we're massively looking at the freight opportunities. And again, that's something I would hope that over due course we'll be able to announce.
That's great, thank you. Okay, so the next question is from Sophie Morby. She says, are there any plans to incorporate renewable technologies such as solar into the refurbishment of the terminal or as part of powering the airport as a whole?
So again, yes, on that, we've got a full team dedicated to this at the minute. We're looking at a number of different, whether it's 5G, whether it's automated vehicles. We really are looking at our carbon footprint, which is something we know we need to get down. We're already in discussions on a number of areas in terms of electric vehicles. We have a team here, Phil Lishman, who's our head of projects and engineering, who's been tasked to look at how we can do more in terms of with our solar output as well. So there's a lot of stuff, again, that we are already actively engaging upon.
Brilliant, thank you. Okay, so next question is from Glenn Hughes, who says, what type of training will be outsourced to local companies? Orange Box Training would be very interested in being involved and playing a part in our Tees Valley Airport.
I think the best thing I would say there is essentially to take this offline. There's a number of different training opportunities will come as we grow the airport. Clearly, at the minute, we're an airport that's doing 140,000 passengers at the moment. We have plans to grow to 1.4 million. And I do believe, I will actually state that I think we'll go past that because the opportunity is massive for this airport and the discussions that we're having. In terms of training, you look across the board, we want to work with local business to help train, whether it's customer service training would be a big one. There's F&B training we need, there's security training. There's a number of different roles that an airport needs. So on that, what I would say is, again, I'm happy to provide anyone from the airport's details. And if I do, hopefully, if the slide's still on, I'm happy to put my details on there for anyone to take my email address to get in touch.
Thank you. So our next question is from Laura. She says, we are huge advocates of the airport and how it can link the businesses, not just locally, but globally. We have import-export and it's important to reach out even more due to Brexit. But do the flights to London counteract the flights to Schiphol? We have great connections in the Netherlands and with investors, and we have found the prices have risen to travel there, but London flight prices have declined.
No, I think what London Heathrow does, it gives you two options. It does give you that onward connectivity, which is complementing what we've got with our Amsterdam Schiphol service. But the good thing what it will do as well is when the market manages to calm down, people will have choice. There's often been a time where KLM, who's a fantastic servant from this airport, but Teesside in the past has been seen as a bit more overpriced from the likes of Newcastle or Leeds, Bradford. That's because there's been a dominant market there. Now we've got someone else in here. It means the two airlines will work together to ensure that the fees are fair. I think as well, ultimately, though, the Heathrow service, it offers something for inbound tourism in terms of people coming up to this region from down south as well. So it does a lot of things for that. I think it allows business travel. We want to get that service up eventually to a double daily. We used to have 3 and 4 services a day going out with that. So I think if anything, it complements that service. Yes, there will be parts of it where it might challenge it, but there is different experiences to go out. We want to have as many different, we're in a position now where we serve 2 major international hubs, and that can only be a good thing and ensures Teesside is even greater connected to the world.
Brilliant, thank you. Now, this next one I think you've sort of answered already, but how would contractors go about registering their interest in working on the refurbishment project?
I think on that, the best thing, again, I can do, again, take these things offline is come by myself. I'm more than happy to put people in touch with. We have as I've mentioned, we have a head of projects and engineering. We want to, the airport has been bought to create jobs for people. I want local people developing this airport because essentially it's not just because it's putting money in local business owners' business pockets, but essentially I want people who care about their regional airport. So we're not just a tick in a box. They want to come and go above and beyond to ensure they provide me with the best possible product. So again, the details are there. Do send them over and I'll ensure that you're in touch with the right possible people when we are looking to have new building maintenance contracts and suffice.
Brilliant, thank you. So the next one we've had actually a couple of people have asked, what plans are in place to upgrade the railway station and transport links in general?
So in terms of the railway station, we're working closely with WSP and the Tees Valley Combined Authority are leading on that. Again, we're looking at a few of the options. I can't go into great details at the minute because nothing's been finalised, but all I can say is we are looking into what the options are. Do we keep it where it is? Do we move it? What do we need to do? Because the fact is, a lot of people will sometimes say, well, that is the most underutilized service in the country. Yes, that's very true. But the big thing is turn it on its head. When I spent the last 4 years at Leeds Bradford, I was desperately trying to lobby government to build me a train station. The fact is, at Teesside Airport, we already have a train station. It comes back to my point. The infrastructure is already in place. So again, I'm 6 miles away from the East Coast Main Line, and I have 40 trains a day going past my runway. What we need to do now is get the routes in, get the passengers in, and develop the station so that we can now have trains stopping here. So the big thing is on that is essentially, I think more info again will come out. It's something again that's on the list of things to do, but we are working on actively. There's meetings taking place every week on that. So again, it's moving forward. In terms of other things to do with improving the gateway, in terms of the initial access, I would say already that we have fantastic access to the airport, the A19, the A1, A66. But again, as I've already mentioned, there is further plans that the Combined Authority team are looking at to increase the access to the Tees Valley region in general. But I'd probably be better off, I'm not the expert on that, allowing them to answer that question further.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. So next one's from David Artley. He says, can you talk about the potential for the UK Treasury moving part of its operation to a facility on the airport? Is that an airport project?
I can only go with what I've seen in the obviously reports in the media. It would certainly be an exciting concept again, but I couldn't comment any further on that. It would be we've got a fantastic site over there, 270 acres of land, 800 acres in total. I think whoever comes in there, there's a number of people that I know we are speaking to, and there's an exciting time. But of course, I can't go into any further detail on where discussions are just yet.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you. So our next thing is from Michael Schuker. He says, you have done exceptionally well to date on the domestic side, but your 10-year plan deals with much more than this. What do you see, aside from COVID, as being the biggest challenge/threat to the successful delivery of the 10-year plan?
That's a very good question. If you hadn't said COVID, I would have had an easy answer there. The biggest challenge really is that all airports are wanting to grow. The industry at the minute is in utter disarray, so we don't know when we'll get back flying. We have ideas, so the reason we're trying to really look after this asset at the moment. So it's very nice to see domestic flying we can do. The biggest thing at the minute is the state of the unknown. I will probably use the excuse of COVID because it is the main thing. We don't know what the future holds at the minute. I guess the biggest thing is how other airports, what growth and future development infrastructure that they want to put in. But realistically, I'm very much a glass half full person. So other airports, I'm not really bothered. We've got a key plan, a strategy, the right team in place, and the discussions I know that we're having. That really all I'm bothered about is focusing on this airport. And I do assure people that there's a lot of exciting announcements and a lot of exciting times to come for this airport in this region.
Thank you. Okay, our next question is from Ken Stevens. He says, flight prices have always been prohibitive from Teesside, particularly to Aberdeen in Norway. Airlines such as Loganair have tried and failed to be competitive. How will other airlines be encouraged to the region?
I think probably by, like I say, the slide that I've put on there, realistic, because again, if you don't market your product, airlines aren't going to know what you've got on offer. It's interesting some of the comments that have been made there, because I think if people can wait a few, in the near future, they'll see some interesting announcements that we are currently working on. But again, it comes back to really, we've got to sell not just the airport, it's sell the region to an airline, to tell them why they need to invest in here, come in here, not just come in and leave. They've got to really bed in and get the people of Teesside to support them, to back them, but also to get their brand recognition out there. So that's kind of my job, when hopefully the slides which I've just shown to the likes of people on this conference. But when I'm now, that's more or less a carbon copy. Of course, there's other things in there that I can't share in terms of confidential commercial terms that we'll put to an airline. But really, that's me trying to sell this region, to say, look, if you come in here, this is the reason why it will work. This is why. Look at the catchment, look at the surface access, look at the infrastructure I've got. And there's a brand new approach being taken for this airport. There's a lot of, I say the easiest way to say it, there's a lot of TLC going on here now. So yes, in the past, I think the airport's been known as very expensive. And that again comes down to, you'll see Aberdeen's a lot more pricey. Well, yes, because there's only been one carrier on the route who've got a dominant, who then, have got the clear market share. If you look at the same thing for Amsterdam, I've just given the excuse by saying, well, by bringing Heathrow in, that's naturally going to ensure we've got more options for people to discover the world. And hopefully there's got to be more of a pricing match. So again, these are things that we're very conscious of, and ultimately, again, we are working on.
Thank you. So our last question is from Leanne, and she says, what other destinations are planned to be announced and be working on next year?
Well, for obvious reasons, I'm not going to go into saying what the destinations are just yet. The problem is, look, I'll be honest at the minute, is, you know, we speak to airlines on a regular basis. The problem we've got at the minute is that airlines themselves don't actually know what's going on. I think you look at this morning, I think there's been another, I have to catch up on the news, but I think another quarantine restriction in Northern Ireland. You look at the minute, there's rumours that the Canaries are going to reopen across the winter period. No one knows at the minute. So I have a wish list of where I want to fly. I certainly know a wish list of where people in the Tees Valley want to fly. There's a number of options on the table at the minute, but I guess it's still a case of, unfortunately, at the minute, it's very much, you know, sometimes at the minute airlines don't even know where they might be flying next week, let alone next summer, next year, next winter. So it's a case of really, it's a moving feast at the moment.
Brilliant, thank you. So that's the end of our questions. So I think we'll wrap it up there. Thank you very much, Phil.